Welcome to another match preview here on Stones TV and the Maidstone United podcast, where we look ahead to our latest return league game away, where we travel to
Hornchurch.
Yeah, we promised and we did workshop that, and you can make up your own minds on whether that worked or not. So before we look ahead to our trip to Hornchurch, the aforementioned, we must of course look back at the dramatic late win at home to Salisbury last weekend, Nigel. Stones needed that win to keep pace with everyone else in the top 8, and it's good to get a second double of the season as well, isn't it?
It was one of those performances, wasn't it, that we were so dominant in that first half. Salisbury scored either side of half time, and it looked like it was going to be one of those afternoons, wasn't it? Because since when that second goal went in, which was early in the second half, thankfully for the Stones, we continued to dominate. And we got a fortuitous penalty. Yeah. But it was a penalty, and I mean, even the Salisbury manager came out on his interview afterwards and said, these players have got to learn. You can't be making a chance. The player was going away from Sol. The player obviously was going away from goal, and that's what he does, doesn't he? Sol built his game on that, and it was highlighted to the players that that's what Sol does, and you just don't let the referee give him a decision to make, and he did. And Sol managed just to get in front of the player of the ball, and as soon as there was contact, there was only going to be one decision, wasn't there? So and then Ben Brooks put that away with aplomb, and then again Sol. He got the goal, a deflected goal, but they all count, don't they? So it just goes down as an assist and a goal, and a man of the match performance. Thank you very much. But it's very much a case of like fine tuning things, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've seen that in the last few weeks with Lee coming in and Shaq Polk as well signing, and they look good today. To be fair, Lee at the bench didn't hit the post in the first half, and was involved in a lot of the good stuff that Maidstone did play in that first half. And it's like we've been saying the last few weeks, it's just about keeping that concentration going and getting those patterns of play working, and building ourselves up for hopefully at least a playoff challenge, and if not the championship, because it's got to the stage of the season now where you can't, there's so many other teams playing each other, you've just got to take care of your own results, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because we'll come on to it Tuesday night as well. A lot of the teams were playing when Maidstone wasn't, and there was a lot of jockeying around. And again, you look at it and think, you'd rather that result, you'd rather this result. But if we take care of our own business, like we said in our last preview, if we take care of our own business, then the table and our final position will just take care of itself.
It will. And I mean, there's a weird little stat that I've looked at going back for all the results that the Stones have had in all their wins. So it was their 20th win of the season in all competitions. It was 19 before Saturday, of course. They'd only conceded 4 goals in those 19 wins prior to Saturday. So that's the first time we've actually won a game after we've conceded more than once. We've only had 2 draws and the rest defeats, obviously. And obviously I'll bang on about how clean sheets are going to see us get promoted and, drive us up the division. But to see us win a game like that, coming from behind, within the game itself, after taking an early lead, as you would say, it's all good signs.
Yeah, of course it is. And, inevitably that sort of goal comes late as well, so it just adds a little bit of a edge to it, doesn't it, really? I think Salisbury would have, once they got into that lead, they had a game plan and they'd be disappointed. But, again, it just shows that good sort of like, I want to say bounce back ability, but that was within the game, wasn't it? George talked about that a few weeks ago about responding after defeat, and it's about responding within the game as well, isn't it?
Which we've not had to see them do very often
because
we
were so dominant in that first half, and then early in the second half, again, like I said, it probably was good in one way that it did happen so early in the second half. Yes. But then George literally made the substitution straight away, didn't he? And managed to change the game, which again shows good managementship, isn't it? And him and Craig were discussing that, and it made the change pretty quickly. And to be able to change the direction of a game within a game shows good leadership skills, doesn't it? So
it does. So other matches from the last week involving the top 8, with only Torquay and ourselves playing at home on Saturday. We saw Eastbourne Borough travel to Bath and they had a goalless draw. Worthing were also on the road as they travelled to Chelmsford. They won it in the 96th minute with 10 men by 2-1. Truro went to Chesham and left the Meadow as 4-1 victors. Dorking journeyed to Enfield and eventually won 2-0 after a delayed start because of the M25. Both sides had penalties saved too in that match, and they even had time to like one of my tweets. Hi Mark, see you on Tuesday. More on them in our next preview, pod and vid, of course. Weston-super-Mare lost 2-1 at Farnborough, which gave the Stones some breathing space in the playoffs. And finally, Torquay hosted Boreham Wood, with the spoils being shared with 2 goals apiece and a 98th minute Dixon equaliser that saw both sides drop points. So that all meant the table on Saturday evening saw Weston's conquerors, Farnborough, move up to 9th, 6 behind Weston with a game in hand. Weston then in 8th on 58 points, Torquay 7th, 61, Stones 6th, 62, Truro 5th, 64, Worthing 4th, 65, Boreham Wood in 3rd on the same points, but above them by virtue of their superior goal difference. Eastbourne 2nd, 66, Dorking top and 3 points clear. To the Tuesday evening that Nigel already mentioned, 4 of the top 7 played that evening. Torquay, the relatively short trip to Chippenham, they ran out 3-1 winners, second half goals from Zanzala and Jay securing them 3 points. Farnborough looked to take advantage of their game in hand over the Super-Mare as they hosted Hornchurch, the Stones' next opponents. We'll be on to them shortly. That finished 1-0 to the visitors though, so Farnborough didn't take advantage. And Truro hosted Boreham Wood and ran out 2-1 winners despite a late Bush goal for the Wood. And finally, Worthing hosted Bath and they also won 2-1. A late Danny Cashman goal secured the win that sees them into 2nd. Those results, table update again after Tuesday night, heading into Saturday as follows. So Weston in 8th on 58, Stones dropped to 7th, still on 62, and then the number symmetry kicks in for all the people who like that sort of thing. Top 6, Torquay 6th, 64, Boreham Wood 5th, 65, Eastbourne 4th, 66, Truro 3rd, 67, Worthing 2nd, 68, Dorking 1st, 69. So, Nigel, I'll shut up in a minute. Hashtag never dull in South. Hashtag not a clue how it's going to end up.
No, exactly. I mean, you saw there, we thought Boreham Wood had picked up again after a little mini slump, but then they go and lose. It's not, we know ourselves, it's a tough trip to go down to Truro, isn't it? Especially on a Tuesday night. So, that's never easy. Don't matter what sort of level you play at. Worthing again, talking about last minute winners, they got one on Tuesday night, didn't they? So they look like they've come out of their mini slump, and with their games in hand, they're suddenly looking dangerous again. And Dorking, again, we talk about Dorking, and they didn't play on Tuesday night, but they got the job done against Enfield on Saturday, but they've got that tough run of games coming up, haven't they?
Yes.
And it's kind of like a sitting duck kind of scenario for them. They're there to be shot at, aren't they? So
it's in their hands as well.
Of course, it's in their hands. It's in Worthing's hands. It's in all the hands, isn't it? Really.
Is. Kumbaya. Yeah.
It's like I just said earlier. It's going to be. It's not. We're not inventing the wheel when we say things. It's like you literally just got to keep picking up your points. And yes, you can look at the table, and yes, you can get in the change room at the end of the game, and we talk about it on the hot takes, and you can go through the results and look at the results and that's good for us. We've moved up a place, but ultimately, it's just going to be the side that's going to keep their core and that's going to pick up the most points in these last 10 games.
Yeah.
And you can't afford to have these like little mini slumps in the playoffs because you literally got 3 games, haven't you? 3 games to define your whole season. So possibly if you've finished 7th. So again, like you say, never dull, is it? Never dull in the South. So we just see where it takes us.
Yeah. So another bit of player news. Pierre Fonku's departure was announced on Friday before that Salisbury win. He hadn't featured in a matchday squad since the 3-3 at Bath, despite being involved in most pre-match warm-ups. Just couldn't push into that 16 despite some other departures in that time. So we wish him well in his future career. So finally on to Hornchurch then. Comings and goings over the last 4 months. Miles Weston joined on loan from Bromley in mid-November. His loan would eventually be extended for the remainder of this season. He scored the winner for the Daggers against the Stones on Boxing Day in 2022. Harry Seedon departed after 1 game in between the sticks, and Jazzy Barnum Bob also left after making just 11 appearances. Centre forward Henry Hearn signed on loan from Millwall and scored the opener on debut at Enfield in the FA Trophy. All 4 of his goals came in 1-1 draws, as you do. Femi Akinwanda left at the end of November. He played 49 games for the club and was involved in 32 goals and assists in that time. Goalkeeper Tom Middlehurst joined in December, having previously played for Cambridge City in the new year. Adi Youssef departed after scoring 22 in 62 across 3 seasons for the Urchins. Giles Phillips signed permanently from Ebbsfleet, having been on loan since October. Forward Tommy Wood signed from Cheshunt, having scored 8 in 26 for them earlier this season. Defender Will Grillage signed permanently from Colchester United near the end of January, and having already been on loan this season with them. Liam Nash departed for Worthing at the start of February to add to their attacking talents. He famously scored the winner during lockdown in the FA Trophy in a 5-4 win against the Stones, before they went on to win that final against Hereford at Wembley, of course. Right winger Charlie Pegram signed on loan from Leyton Orient, having had time this season already at Tunbridge and Welling, so he knows Kent well. And then young midfielder Mackay Welch joined on loan from Leyton Orient too. Nathan Bertram Cooper racked up his 300th Urchin appearance during his 10th season with the club. And their most recent signing at time of recording is ex-Stone against the Stones Razak Coleman de Graft. He joined from Aveley last week. So Nigel, they've made a lot of changes in the last few weeks and months, and they've carried on urching out those performances that keep them in a relatively healthy position.
Yeah, it's again, there's a lot of in and outs coming there. One player that you didn't mention there that I've seen come up on a few tweets and that recently is Scott Cashkit. I think he played in that game at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
But he's recently gone to Welling, so he's scored a couple of goals in their most recent game. So, another player that's found his way out. But it's Daryl McMahon, isn't it? He's got his favourites there, and like we've said before, he's no stranger to playing here at Maidstone and against Maidstone teams, and that partnership there with Miles Weston. Who gets that Boxing Day game.
Yeah.
Our last International League South when he scored that goal and man of match performance there. It's you know what to expect from Daryl McMahon teams, don't you? They're going to be hard to beat, and they're a team that's come up from the division below, and yes, they did have the goals of Liam Nash, but they've got able replacements in, and they've acquitted themselves well. I don't think they've ever been sort of struggling. You wouldn't say they're a team that's been down. They've always just been just on the peripheral of that sort of like lower to mid upper table sort of thing, aren't they? And without actually sort of putting any pressure on the teams above them, but they're comfortably going to survive. And as it's we look at the results. They're just picking up points here and there just to sort of keep them ticking over, and they've certainly got the players that are going to cause any team they play against problems. So.
Well, a few of those players who would cause them problems, the key men for the Urchins. Mason Terry, he's the number one. He's played nearly every game this season. 3 additional clean sheets since last we met, 8 overall this season. Defender Ryan Scott has been a near ever-present in defence. His only goal this season was in a 2-1 defeat at home to Chippenham just before Christmas. Darren McQueen is the current top scorer with 9 and has 4 in his last 3. And Thomas Raitt is next in line with 6 so far this season. The ex-Stone against the Stones netted the home opener against Boreham Wood last month. So, Nige, familiar names to Stones fans for and against there.
It goes back to that sort of crazy game that Ben talked about, isn't it? That FA Trophy game in the final, our final game in the lockdown season. And that was the year that Hornchurch went on and won the FA Trophy itself, didn't they?
Did.
That delayed season. So, so we've come up against them many times, and it's always been difficult to go and play there. Yeah. It's another ground that's very similar to sort of like Chelmsford in Essex. It's got a running track around it and quite a big open sort of expanse, and the fans are, unlike Chelmsford, you don't go behind the ground, the stand, do you? So you're literally at the side and some distance from the action, but hopefully we can motivate ourselves and overcome that and pick up a result there.
Yeah, and keep on running by the sound of things.
Yeah.
So their form since last we met, well, the Urchins lost at Enfield in the FA Trophy immediately after we met at the Gallagher. 19 further league fixtures played, 8 wins, 4 of those at home, 5 losses, including 2 at home, and 6 draws. Most recently at Weymouth. They've held their own comfortably in their first season in National League South and have remained between, as we've already said, mid-table in that sort of area since last we met in November, Nigel.
Yeah, that's right. And as I said, they've had some quite notable results, haven't they? And even recently, they just continue to pick up those points. So, I'm sure they're going to be, as a club, they're going to be looking to sort of kick on next season. But again, I've had a lot of turnaround of players. Whereas, yes, Maidstone have had a few, but we're now sort of coming into our second phase of sort of like our team rebuilding, aren't we? You know, after getting the likes of Benson, Papadopoulos and that in when we played him in that first game, and you know, let's hope we can sort of continue that and, you know, get back onto having a positive away performance. You know, I mean, we picked up that draw last time out at Hemel Hempstead, but you know, we could do getting 3 points again, and it's not really a long journey, is it? It's another one just through the Dartford Tunnel, and hopefully Maidstone will have a good following and we can support them on and get the 3 points on Saturday.
Yeah. So if you can't remember all of the players from the previous meeting, then why not head back to our previous preview video and podcast from this season for more information on Saturday's opponents. The links to the video and podcast are both in the description below. If you can't make it to the game on Saturday, be sure to tune in to Darren and Nigel from 2:40 on Stones Live. You'll see them on the hot take and then hear them on the highlights once they go online. It's also International Women's Day this coming Sunday, so why not head down to Flamingo Park in Chislehurst to support Maidstone's women against Cray Wanderers in their last league game of the 24-25 season. It's a 4:30 kickoff. I'll be there. Make sure you join us. And while you're at it, make another date in your diary. Come down to the Gallagher on the 16th, so that's the following Sunday. It's the Kent Plate semi-final against Hollands and Blair. It's a 3:15 kickoff, and it's for a place in the final, obviously. So the Stones haven't scored in their last 4 away games, and they come up against a Hornchurch side who earned 11 from 15 points in their 5 February home games. Always here to fill you all with confidence, folks. But as we know, all good things must come to an end, and hopefully new good things can start. Here's hoping. We've got 10 cup finals to go, as we keep seeing and hearing. Our thanks to you all out there, as ever, for watching or listening to the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Maidstone United podcast. It's the best podcast. It's the one you want to search for. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of the return league home game against current leaders, Dorking Wanderers, at time of recording, of course. And as always,
come on, you Stones!